There are moments in life when the heaviest weight we carry is not in our hands, but in our hearts. It is the weight of holding on to something or someone that no longer belongs on our path. It may be a relationship that ended, a friendship that faded, a dream that didn't unfold the way you imagined. And yet, even deep down, knowing you should have let go already, you insist on holding on. You cling to memories, reread messages, relive conversations, wait for signs. And the more you hold on, the more it hurts. Letting go feels like an impossible task because it means saying goodbye not only to the person or the situation, but also to the version of yourself that once believed it was forever. There's a silent fear that by letting go, you'll be left empty, alone, lost. But the truth is that clinging to what no longer has life is what truly creates emptiness. It's like trying to carry water in your hands. The harder you squeeze, the faster it slips through your fingers. Many people believe that happiness is always tied to having someone by their side, to depending on a relationship to feel complete, to waiting for external validation to confirm their worth. But happiness is not born outside. It grows within. Learning to be happy alone is not a punishment. It is not loneliness. It is an act of freedom. It is the moment you realize you already have everything you need to live in peace, to smile genuinely, to walk lightly. What you'll discover in this video is that letting go does not mean losing. Letting go is making space. It is cleaning the house of your soul so that the new can enter. As long as your hands are full of what no longer serves you, there is no room to receive the gifts of the universe. But when you release, when you choose to detach, a space for miracles opens before you. And there is something even more powerful, the discovery of happiness in being with yourself. When you understand that you can be happy on your own, life changes. You stop accepting emotional crumbs. You stop holding on to situations that don't nourish you. You stop living in fear of loss. Because you understand that nothing can be taken from someone who has already found their own source of peace. In the next few minutes, we will walk together through a journey of liberation. You will feel the weight of holding on to what no longer fits. You will understand the beauty of detachment. You will discover the strength of solitude, and you will find the happiness that is born within. And in the end, you will receive a word of power to anchor this transformation in your daily life. So take a deep breath. Allow your mind and your heart to open. This is the moment to release what no longer serves you and prepare for something greater. Because when you let go, you don't lose. You gain yourself back. Holding on to what no longer belongs in your life is like walking down a long road carrying a backpack full of stones. At first, you can endure it, believing you'll manage to keep going, but over time, the weight becomes unbearable. That is exactly what happens when we insist on holding on to people, situations, or expectations that have already fulfilled their role in our story. The body may keep moving, but the soul grows weary. The mind becomes drained, and the heart loses its light. Perhaps you've experienced something like this. A relationship that has clearly ended, yet you cannot let it go. You revisit memories, search for explanations, wait for signs that never come. Deep down, you know there is nothing left there, but attachment creates the illusion that you can revive something that is already gone, and that illusion becomes a burden. Because every time you cling to the past, you block the present from blossoming. Not letting go is like living in a house full of broken furniture, cluttering the space that could be free for new things. You try to move around but keep bumping into remnants of what no longer serves you. And without realizing it, your life begins to revolve around something that no longer exists. It's like trying to keep alive a fire that has already gone out, blowing on ashes in the hope that they will somehow turn into flames again. This weight also shows up in emotions. Resentment, anger, guilt, and overwhelming longing are signs that you're still clinging to something you shouldn't. These emotions act like invisible chains. You want to move forward, but something keeps pulling you back. You want to open new paths, but something inside repeats the same patterns. It's like driving while only looking in the rearview mirror. Inevitably, you end up stuck in the same place, The truth is that insisting on keeping what no longer fits does not bring security, as it may seem. On the contrary, it only brings suffering, because the past does not return. What has been lived cannot be repeated in the same way, and the more you try to hold on, the more pain you feel. This is the paradox of attachment. The tighter you hold, the more you lose. The harder you try to keep it, the further you move from what could truly bring you happiness. And here lies an important reflection. Holding on does not mean love. It means fear. Fear of being alone. Fear of not finding something better. Fear of not knowing who you are without it. But life is not meant to be carried like a burden. Life is movement, flow, transformation. And when you insist on holding what no longer fits, you stop living what is available here and now. Notice how the weight manifests in your own energy. People who cannot let go always seem tired, trapped in memories, tied to pain, stuck in stories they keep replaying in their minds. But when they finally release, space opens up. Their face changes, their eyes shine again, their body feels lighter. Because letting go is not losing. It is regaining the lightness that attachment had stolen. This is the invitation life makes all the time. If something has already fulfilled its role in your journey, it is time to give thanks and release it. Because as long as your hands are busy holding what no longer serves you, they will not be free to receive what could truly transform your life. Letting go is not just a gesture. It is a profound act of courage and self-love. Many people confuse detachment with loss, as if releasing meant giving up something valuable. But in reality, letting go is making space. It is allowing the flow of life to follow its natural course. It is accepting that some things belong to past chapters and that holding them in the present only prevents the story from moving forward. When you let go, you do not erase what was lived. You honor it. Because everything that was part of your life had a purpose. To teach you, to transform you, to prepare you for what was to come. But no lesson requires eternal imprisonment. On the contrary, lessons only gain value when you can absorb them and move forward, stronger and more aware. The act of letting go is like opening the windows of a house that has been closed for a long time. The heavy air leaves, the light comes in, and the space breathes again. It's not that the house has lost what was inside. It's that now there is room for new things to arrive, for life to renew itself. The same is true for the soul. When you release what no longer serves you, your heart creates space for new experiences, new people, new opportunities. But letting go requires a decision, and that decision almost always comes with pain. Because releasing also means facing the emptiness left when something or someone leaves your life. And that emptiness, instead of being hurriedly filled, must be respected. It is in that space that you discover your own strength, that you learn to stand on your own, that you realize you can be happy without depending on what has already passed. Many times we refuse to let go because we believe that by holding on we maintain control. But control is only an illusion. None of us has the power to hold on to what has already completed its cycle. Everything in life is movement. The seasons change, days begin and end, the body ages, and relationships also transform. The attempt to freeze time is what causes suffering. Surrender, on the other hand, brings freedom. Letting go is above all an act of trust. Trusting that life knows what it's doing. Trusting that the universe never takes without giving. Trusting that empty space is not a sign of loss, but of preparation. Because when you release the old, you open the way for the new. And the new always comes, even if in forms you cannot yet imagine. Think of the trees. Every year, they let go of their leaves in autumn. They do not resist, they do not question, they do not fight against the cycle. They simply let go, trusting that spring will bring new leaves, new fruit, new life. So it must be with us. Holding on to what no longer blooms is to prevent spring from arriving. So when life asks you to let go, do not see it as a loss. See it as an invitation to trust, to open up, to allow yourself to live new stories. Because letting go is not giving up, it is evolving. And every time you release, you move closer to your essence, your truth, and your happiness. There is a vast difference between being alone and living in solitude. Loneliness is often seen as emptiness, as the absence of someone, as if a vital part of life were missing. Solitude, on the other hand, is a state of wholeness. It is the complete presence of oneself. It is when you discover that you can find peace, strength, and even joy in the simple act of being with yourself. For a long time, we were conditioned to believe that we would only be happy when we were accompanied, whether in a relationship, in a group of friends, or surrounded by people. We grew up with the idea that silence means abandonment, that the absence of company is a sign of failure. But when you begin to practice solitude, you realize that there is nothing more powerful than learning to be your own companion. Solitude is not isolation, it is reconnection. It is when you discover that you can hear yourself without external noise, that you can feel your own emotions without masks, that you can truly know yourself in depth. It is in this silent space that you find answers that never show up in the rush of daily life. Because deep down, what we search for most in the outside world, love, security, recognition, already exists within us, simply waiting to be awakened. It is in solitude that you learn to fill yourself with what truly matters. You begin to discover hobbies, passions, small joys that depend on no one. You learn to enjoy a coffee alone, to walk in silence, to listen to music that touches your soul. You learn to be present without needing distractions. And the more you connect with this state, the less you feel the need to seek external validation. Many people fear being alone because they confuse solitude with abandonment. But being with yourself does not mean being abandoned. It means, in fact, that you have the chance to nurture yourself, to care for yourself, to strengthen yourself. It is in the silence of solitude that self-esteem blooms, that self-love grows, that confidence expands. Think about this. How can you expect someone to love you fully if you haven't yet learned to love yourself? How can you ask another to make you happy if you haven't yet discovered how to make yourself happy? Solitude is this sacred training ground. It is the laboratory of the soul where you learn to know yourself, to value yourself, and to become complete within yourself. And something magical happens when you discover the beauty of solitude. Your external relationships change as well. You stop accepting emotional crumbs because you no longer need to fill voids. You stop fearing the loss of someone because you have already found stability within. You begin to relate by choice and not by need. And this is the foundation of the healthiest, truest connections. Two people who complete each other, not because they need one another, but because they overflow together. Solitude is the space where you learn to be whole. It is where you understand that being alone is not a synonym for emptiness, but for freedom. It is the moment when you realize that happiness is not about who comes or goes from your life, but about how you choose to live with yourself. The greatest discovery in life happens the moment you realize that true happiness was never outside of you. It does not depend on a relationship, material achievements, or the approval of others. It is born within you, in the silence of your mind and the peace of your heart. And when this inner happiness awakens, no external circumstance has the power to take it away. Many people spend their entire lives searching for something or someone to make them happy. They chase relationships, accumulate possessions, collect experiences, but after a while, they realize that none of it is enough, because happiness that comes from the outside is always temporary. It lasts as long as the situation remains, but crumbles when something changes. It's like building a house on sand. One strong tide is enough to bring it all down. The happiness that rises from within, however, is solid as a rock. It does not depend on external conditions because it is rooted in who you are, not in what you have. It is built when you learn to accept yourself, to value yourself, to recognize your own worth without needing the validation of others. It is when you understand that, by yourself, you are already whole, already enough, already worthy of love and joy. This inner happiness begins with small gestures. It is in caring for your body, feeding your mind with healthy thoughts, respecting your emotions, valuing silence, being grateful for simple things. The more you connect with this daily practice, the more you realize that peace does not come from extraordinary events, but from ordinary moments lived with presence. And the most surprising part is that when happiness is born within, it begins to overflow outward. You start to attract more aligned people, more coherent opportunities, situations that reflect your new state of being. Because the universe always responds to your frequency. If you vibrate lack, you receive absence. If you vibrate gratitude and wholeness, you receive abundance. True happiness is not about always smiling or living without challenges. It is about having clarity that even in the face of difficulties, there is a place of peace within you that never goes out. It is about trusting that life is movement and that every experience, good or bad, carries a valuable lesson. It is choosing not to focus on what is missing, but to be grateful for what already exists. When you discover that you are capable of being happy on your own, a new freedom arises. You stop clinging to situations out of fear of loneliness because you know you don't depend on anyone to smile. You stop waiting for the world to complete you because you understand that you are already whole. And, ironically, it is precisely in this state of fullness that the best connections happen, because you are no longer searching out of need, but overflowing with what you already are. That is the true key to happiness, realizing that it does not need to be sought outside because it has always been within. And the more you connect with this truth, the more you see that life is not about chasing something, but about allowing the natural joy of your essence to blossom and illuminate everything around you.